Hello, I'm Michael Redmond, professional 9-dan Go player. In this video, I'll be showing the third game of the final of the Ing Cup. I'm showing a position here, which is something I found interesting because Sheikha did not play the move that I expected him to play. The normal move would be this extension, which is the game move. But there's also a move here, which is played a lot by younger players and is sort of expected in this position. So I was a bit surprised he didn't play that, so I'll talk about that later. The Ing Cup is played once every 4 years on Olympic years, and I believe it has the biggest purse. So the first prize is 400,000 US dollars. It's the first time in a while we've had a Japanese player trying to be the world champion. I think the last world champion from Japan was Cho 19 years ago, and that was in the LG Cup. And so it's been decades since Japan dominated the Go world, maybe about 50 years ago. And since then, there were a lot of brilliant Chinese and Korean players who dominated the world. So I could name Ni Weiping, Ma Shoushun to start with, and then more recently, Gu Li, Chang Hao, of course, Ke Jie, and Korean players such as Cho Funyong, Lee Chang-ho, Lee Sedol, and now they have Shin Jin-so. So just to name a few, actually. So it's been a long time since we've had Japanese players up in the top levels of the tournaments. After Cho won the LG Cup 19 years ago, I think Japanese players struggled even to get into the semifinals. So most of the time they were being knocked out in the quarterfinals. So it's a very big new development for us in Japan. I just wanted to make sure everyone knew how important it is. Okay, to get to the game, let's just show you the first moves. Ichiriki does have a lead of 2-0. He won the first two games, so he needs one more win. And this opening, it might be more popular with white playing 2 star points, but this position in the top side is not unusual. And of course, the Joseki move is to play a 3-space extension. So if you choose to play this move, I have nothing against that. But if I were black, I would be expecting a younger player or a player who researches with AI maybe to play this move. And so I would assume that Ichiriki had a plan. Maybe he even had a trap ready. So I don't know. But I'm going to try nonetheless to show you some basic variations. So one would be black playing here. Playing here would be passive, not decisively bad, but it's probably supposed to be good enough for white to have that exchange as a slight game, a slight kikashi. So if black plays a hane here, white would play a hane there, and black would connect. This is actually a fairly popular joseki up to this point, after which it's not clear. Black seems to have a number of choices. So black could play an atari here. Black could play some kind of pincer against white in the top left. Or black could play some kind of an approach move against white's 3-4 point. So black has various choices. Otherwise, black could consider playing a hane underneath. And this would be a relatively complicated joseki, which usually goes like this. And then white could play an extension, or white could curl around, among some other moves. But these are the two main choices that white has. And again, this is going to be a difficult fight continuing in the center. So black would either jump here or sometimes would jump here. And it's hard to judge. So I really don't know which way Ichiriki wanted to play. And so black played a relatively simple opening here. This is also a popular joseki in the corner. And black played the kakari. So kakari is always a big move. Actually, white's next move also is very big. So these 2 points are close to miai. I found it interesting that Katago was suggesting white played this exchange first and then here. The difference between this and the game variation is very subtle. So it's like maybe 1 point in winning percentage and a small fraction of a point in komi, or points, you might say. So yes, so in this variation, white extended on the right side. Black was threatening white's group on the right and white's group on the left. So there's always the choice of which side to defend. So white could have defended on this side. I would expect something like this. Black's move at 6, it's a pincer and an extension. So it's a double purpose move, making it a good move. So that would be a reason for white to choose that side. So white extended on the right side, and black played here. So one important thing in regards to white's group on the bottom side is that white has a forcing move at p2. So if black plays a more direct attack, something like this, white always has the forcing move at p2, which is threatening a ko in the corner, and is almost always forcing. So for instance, in a sequence like this would be an example of white escaping out, making use of that forcing move at 4. So black played a more soft approach, making white's forcing move at p2 slightly less important. So he's trying to get a good position in the center, putting some pressure on white nonetheless. Another option would be to play the taisha. So this joseki is actually very complicated. A lot of variations you have to know after this fight starts. So for instance, just to give one example, it goes on, a huge joseki, a lot of complicated variations. So I'll leave it there. If you want to play this one, you would probably have to research it. So black just played here. And here. And here white cuts black off. Once white has played this marked move, the cut at p5, white's 4 stones are in damezumari. So it becomes important for white to connect here to fix that shape. And this is a forcing move against the corner. And then white played here. So this is a beautiful shape move. And it's possible because when black pushes through here, black's 3 stones on the right are big enough that black cannot afford to sacrifice them. So white 2 here is always kind of a forcing move. So white did not actually play it, but has it in reserve. That said, white could have played this one. This would have been a game also. It would have been difficult. Maybe something like this. It's not as if the black group is going to die. It can escape. So one example. Something like this. So a fight like this is also feasible. So when compared to the game, white's group on the right is stronger. Black's group on the bottom is stronger. I'll show you the game variation. This is an even fight also, I would say. So black answered once. The value of white jumping at m6 is that white gets to extend towards the left like this, putting more pressure on black's group on the bottom side. Okay, so this was an important move. If black had simply played here, this would have given black bad shape. So he's making better shape and also getting a potential eye there at m4. And white played here. So when I look at Ichiriki's games, I get the impression that he's depending very much on his calculation and not so much on shape moves. So like traditionally, Japanese players tend to play good shapes, and it works for the most part. But Ichiriki often plays empty triangle. So he's already played one empty triangle in this game. And he's going to continue playing what would usually be called bad shapes, such as this double attachment. Playing 2 attachments consecutively like that, so playing here first and then the other attachment, it's usually considered bad suji. But in this case, it's going to work because black gets to cut white off and also has an efficient way to make 2 eyes on the bottom side. So it's all in the calculation, which is his strong point. And here you see again, one more empty triangle. There's going to be more. So he does seem to have a tendency to play bad shapes that in actual practice are very effective. Very much unlike the old school Japanese players who tend to play good shapes most of the time. But the important thing is that it's effective. Okay, so this move is one move I wanted to talk about. It's a very important tesuji. And if you're just going to remember one move out of this game, I would suggest that this one is worth it because it's an important way for white to deal with this weak group that white has on the right side. So white waits for black to push through here and then pushes through and gets to cut. So when white cuts here, white is threatening a wedge at the marked point, which would capture one or the other of black's groups. So if white wedges here, white's either going to capture the 2 stones or the 4 stones. So there's a weakness there, putting pressure on black. So if we go back to this point, as far as shape is concerned, black actually has a choice of pushing through as he did in the game, or playing here. It might be intuitive to play this exchange first, and then play here. But in this case, it would be much better for black to play on this side. And when this happens, that stone at 1 is a bad move. It's very slow. It's an empty triangle, not getting out. And it's going to be more difficult for white to escape out into the center. So when white starts with this move, the game move, if black plays here now, and we assume something like this, white has a lot more choice in where to place the next stone. So for instance, even if white plays here, it's much more, white gets a lot more speed out of it. So for instance, something like this, white would already be pretty much connected up to the top side. So you can see how the difference with the stone at 4 when compared to an empty triangle that's coming from behind like this. So this would be so slow, obviously a bad move. So the order of moves here is very important with white playing the tsukekoshi, the attachment against black's knight shape, first, because this is always forcing. If black plays in the center, white can just capture the 1 stone here. Let's capture it like this. And white would have a living shape on the right side. So that would be a good enough result for white. And now white's threatening the wedge. So black took the 1 stone, and black took here. So black could have connected. This would have been probably okay for black. So something like this maybe, with black jumping out into the center, creating a strong group there, and having a strong group in this corner. So that would have been an option. But black had a reason. Ichiriki had a reason to capture here. So I'm going to take a look at that. At this point, black played here. The thing is, if white tries to save the 3 stones, black will get a forcing move here. Yes. So this would kill the white group. And in this case, it's very important that black has captured the 1 stone with the marked stone, because if black had connected out here, there would still be a white stone here. And in this case, white would be able to push through here. And again, this would be a weakness in black's shape. So if white captures the 2 stones, in this case, white's already alive. This is usually a forcing move against the corner, threatening to kill the corner. The black group in the corner is going to be a ko. So capturing was setting up this attack here, and white cannot immediately save the 3 stones. So white peeped here. The exchange of the 2 marked stones before white plays the hanging connection, it increased the power, the force of the following white move, which is at some point is going to come, whether white connects at P15 or pushes through at R15. White has a more forceful move locally when white has exchanged the 2 marked stones. So that's why white started with the peep here instead of just playing a hanging connection or something. So that was a good exchange for white, a good order of moves. Black has got sente, so the fact that black is about to capture 3 white stones here makes the black group relatively strong and gave black some time to save the stones on this side. So he saved the 4 stones, and now white saves the 3 stones here. Black can make an eye here, so for instance, if black plays here and here, looks like black has maybe 1 eye there, but it could be a bit difficult to make 2 eyes. So black doesn't really want to be put in that position, and I can see why he would want to move out. So he's moving out here, and white played a hane. So I think this hane, it could have been a miscalculation because this is where white started to get into trouble. So if white had just jumped out here, it would have been relatively peaceful. And maybe something like this. So white would be moving out in the center. White's group in the center is not completely settled, but black's group is not safe either. So that's maybe about equal. And the game would be decided by mostly by black's territory, potential territory on the left, and white's potential territory on the top, and the size of those two. And the lower left corner could come into the equation also. Close enough that I don't know who's going to win. So white played a hane here, and black cut. So this is trouble for white, although we're going to see another empty triangle here, which is an important move. So without this move, black would have been collapsing. So you would usually assume, I think, that black would play a good shape move like this. So this is the usual shape. To prevent white from playing a hane, black has to defend against the white hane at this point. So if we assume black jumps here, though, white will be able to push through. And this would be a collapse for black, because this is actually a ladder. And if black extends here, it's still going to be very difficult for black to enclose the white group, because black would like to be able to surround this white group, because white's not alive locally. But black's position is going to fall apart if black does that. So this is not really working for black. Getting back to the game, black played the empty triangle. This stops the ladder. So in this variation, if white had pushed through here, then black would have been able to play here. Now, because the liberties of white's two stones on the outside are filled, it's not going to be the ladder. So that's the big difference there. That's why the empty triangle at K11 was an important move. So white is starting to hope to make two eyes. And black has killed the white group. So black has potential eye at one of the 2 points. It's not alive, but actually, if we look at the black group on that side and the white group in the center, it looks like black is going to win the race to capture almost always. So black has about 6 outside liberties, 7 outside liberties, that is, and that's going to be enough to win the semi almost all cases. So white has to find something on this side. Okay. And white tries to enclose the black group. So if we take a look at the semi here, just for starters, white has 5 open spaces, but this is actually, it's usually more than 5 liberties. So in order to fill the 5 liberties directly, black has to fill from this side. So this would be filling black's 2 liberties on this side. So if we say white has only 5 liberties, that means that the black group on the left doesn't have any of these inside liberties, so they belong to white. Otherwise, black could play this point and capture 1 stone, and then black would be able to fill from this side. So that would be 6 liberties for the white group. So either black fills the inside liberties or has to use 6 moves to kill the white group. So obviously, black needs some extra liberties here. He played here. So this was a Tetsuji. If white had cut here, then it would have made the other side that much more vulnerable. So just to simplify it a little bit, if black plays here, then he's threatening the ladder. And so black would be able to connect out to the left side. This would obviously have too many liberties for white to have a chance. So this deals with that problem. And black still does not have enough liberties. So black has 4 outside liberties. And if black plays here and starts filling liberties, let's just fill it. So if black fills the inside liberties, he's going to lose by 1 move. If black fills the outside liberties, this actually is going to be a seki. So in this seki, white's got a lot of territory in the lower left area. So this is probably okay for white. So black still does not have the option of starting the race to capture at this point. And he played here. So this is one solution to the problem at hand, but it was not the best move. This is actually where black's winning percentage dropped severely. So you could say he was losing the move with this, losing the game with this move. So to show what he should have done, he should have pushed through here. So when black does this, black has this net. It's a geta. Black's group, it still has 4 liberties. So if white starts filling liberties, black will win the race to capture. If white pushes through here, this is just going to kill white's stones on the other side. So the marked 4 stones, they're going to die. And so there's no local move for white. White would have to live in the center. So white could do it by playing here and capturing the 1 stone. He can capture this stone in Sente and make 2 Ys. But this would be a winning variation for black. So this is how black could have won the game. Instead, he played here. So what's this move? This is actually going to start a ko on the bottom side. So this is a ko. The problem with this ko is that it's putting black's group on the bottom side into danger. A forcing move. White also had a ko threat here. And this was threatening to capture in a ladder, and white just finished the ko. So this was a trade. So now what? The black group on the bottom side is dead, and it's in a race to capture with white's group in the center. So again, if we look at white's liberties, it might look like there's only 5 liberties. Black obviously has 5 liberties. So if black plays, is black going to be able to capture white? The answer is no, because black has to play one kind of backup move. So let's just fill some liberties and see what happens. So if black plays here, he's putting himself in Atari. So he can't do that, right? So if he plays here. So white has 3 liberties, black has 3 liberties. But ultimately, black cannot fill here, and black cannot fill here. So black has to play some move on the outside, probably this one, before he can start filling liberties, and is going to lose the race to capture by 1 move. So white has captured the black group on the bottom side. It was a trade, but white is winning at this point. So white has a small lead, and he played here. So this is a very strong, active way for white to invade the left side. Turns out white could have won by playing more peacefully. So in this variation, white allows black to surround the left side, and white will get some territory on the top side. So something like this. So this would have been a win for white. And he's winning in the game also, but it gets very complicated. So Chinese players do tend to play very strongly in the endgame. They play a very accurate, strong endgame. In this case, maybe it was a bit too active. So playing accurately is good until you make a mistake. Okay, so white's sort of in trouble on both sides, but by getting this cut at C17, white's given some extra power to the white group on the top. So he can afford to allow black to jump in, because white has this move at G18. So after this, white can jump out at J18 or play at C18 to capture 2 black stones, which would give white a living shape. So black had to defend against that, and white could jump out. And black had to back off to connect here. And at this point, white is still winning. So this is still a small win for white. But he had to defend the center, because white's connection in the center here is a bit flimsy, and white has to add a stone here. So this is the move that I would play. It was the move I was expecting. I think most professionals would just play here. This is the intuitive move, that it doesn't require a great deal of ability to see that this is the obvious move for white to play. So it was very surprising that he made this mistake of not playing here. There is a kind of a weakness here on the second line, but it's not going to amount to much. And it looks like white can't even capture a tail, but it's not really relevant. White wouldn't be gaining, I mean, black would not be gaining anything, even if black got the tail of the stones on the 16th line. But it looks like he can't even get that. So there's really nothing happening here. And white would have some territory on the top side and would be winning by a few points. So instead, he connected on the second line, which allowed black to attack here. So after this, it's probably already bad for white. So what's happening with this is that if white pushes through and black cuts, there's the threat of h14. So if white plays on this side, this is going to be a collapse. The left side is going to die. So white has to avoid that. This would probably not be very good either for white's group on the top side. So white dodged away, and this is looking bad. So a very strong attack by black. Black is still threatening this move, which would cut white off. So white doesn't want that to happen either. That would kill the left side. And white had to add another stone to the center. And white's getting into trouble on the top side. So after this, all right, white found time to save the group on the top side. So this is alive. And black defended the corner. And white saved these stones. Playing something on the top side was big too. And black plays here. So black is making miai of capturing some territory on the top side and cutting at m13. So white really needed to add a stone in the center here, maybe here, or maybe here. In which case, white would have two eyes. So black will probably play something like this. White has a forcing move here, which is threatening a ko in the corner. So if we count this in, white has an eye on the right side and a potential eye here, as well as a potential eye here. So white's group is not going to die. It's alive, but it looks like this is a win for black already. So in the game, white didn't do that. White saved the stones on the left, and black just cut. So this is threatening both the left and the right. So white has captured 5 black stones on the left to make a living shape, but white's group on the right is dead. So white has the one eye that I've marked, but this one is not an eye. So let's see. There's just no way for white to make a second eye. So if white plays here like this, it's going to die anyway. So at this point, white resigned, and Ichiriki became the world champion, winning the In Cup with 3 wins, no losses. So I'll say it again. This is really big news for players in Japan. I believe Ichiriki is going to continue to be successful in world tournaments. So we'll probably see more of him. I'm hoping so. And it could help some other Japanese players to feel more confident in world championships. So maybe players such as Shibano or Iyama, we could see more of them also. And so I'm looking forward to that. I'd say it's a newsworthy special win for Japan. First time in 19 years. So thank you for watching to the end, and I'll see you next time.